Have you ever stopped to ask yourself who's really going to be there for me day in, day out, now that I'm over 60? When we're younger, the answer seems obvious. Your spouse, your children, your closest friends. You spend decades building relationships, raising a family and investing time in the people you love most. But something shifts as the years go by. People move, they grow busy, priorities change, and suddenly the support system you always believed would be there doesn't feel quite as steady. It's not that your family doesn't love you. They do deeply, but love doesn't always come with availability. And when you need help, whether it's emotional, physical, or even financial, you may discover that those closest to you aren't always in a position to give it. That realization can feel unsettling, even a little lonely. But here's the truth. Your greatest source of strength after 60 doesn't come from others. It comes from within. In this stage of life, what matters most isn't just who's in your corner, but what foundation you've built for yourself to stand on when life becomes uncertain. And that's where this video comes in. Because today I'm going to share something I believe every person over 60 deserves to know. There are 6 essential support pillars, 6 powerful foundations that can carry you further, more reliably and more gracefully than even the most well-meaning family members. These pillars aren't about replacing people, they're about reinforcing yourself, so you're never left feeling helpless or unprepared. Think of them as the 6 legs of a sturdy chair. When all are strong, you can rest easy, stable, supported, and free. But when even one is missing, the whole structure wobbles. Each of these pillars represents a different area of life, from your finances, to your health, to your relationships, and even your sense of purpose. And what's powerful is this. You don't have to wait on anyone else to give you these things. You can start building them right now, no matter where you are or what you've been through. So if you've ever felt unsure about the future, if you've ever wondered, will I be okay when things get tough? Stay with me, because these 6 pillars can change the way you age. And more importantly, they can change the way you feel about aging. Let's start with the very first foundation. It's not glamorous, it's not emotional, but it's the one thing that can hold everything else together. And if you've ever believed that love alone is enough to keep you safe, wait until you hear why your financial stability might just be the most important ally you'll ever have. Let's begin with the first and perhaps most overlooked pillar of support after 60, your financial stability. It may not sound emotional, it may not be something you talk about at the dinner table, but here's the truth. No support system is stronger or more dependable than your own financial foundation. You see, money can't buy love, but after 60, it does buy peace of mind. It buys options, it buys dignity, and most importantly, it buys you the ability to never become a burden on anyone else. Too often, we assume our children will step in if we ever run into trouble. And why wouldn't we think that we spent decades caring for them, helping them through school, co-signing loans, paying bills, offering a safety net whenever they needed it? It's natural to expect that help might come back our way one day. That's what Walter thought too. Walter is 74 years old, a kind, generous man who always said yes when his family needed something. When his daughter went through a divorce, he gave her money for rent. When his grandson needed a used car, Walter helped cover the cost. He wasn't rich, but he was always willing to help. And for a while, things felt fine. But then Walter had a fall, a bad one. He ended up needing surgery and weeks of rehab. The bills piled up fast. He hadn't planned for this. He assumed Medicare would cover more. So he called his daughter hoping she could lend a hand, but she couldn't. She had 2 kids in college, a mortgage and rising costs of her own. Not because she didn't care, but because she simply didn't have the means. That's when Walter realized something painful. Love doesn't pay bills. And even the people who love us deeply may not always be able to rescue us. This is why financial stability isn't a luxury. It's not just about having extra money. It's about being prepared. It's about having a buffer when life throws the unexpected your way. It's about retirement income you can count on, not hope for. And it's about knowing you won't have to choose between buying medication or paying for groceries. So let me ask you, do you know exactly how long your savings will last? Do you have a plan if a medical emergency hits tomorrow? Are you relying on your children to catch you if you fall? If the answer is uncertain, then now is the best time to act. It doesn't matter if you're behind, What matters is that you start. Start by looking at your budget with clear eyes. Cut unnecessary costs. Talk to a financial advisor, even if just for one session. Make sure your will, your insurance, and your retirement accounts are in order. Because here's the reality. Financial independence isn't just about security, it's about freedom. When you know you can take care of yourself, something powerful happens. You walk differently, you sleep better, you no longer feel like your future depends on anyone else's choices, and that is a freedom no one can take from you. But even the strongest bank account won't mean much if your body can't keep up with your goals. In the next part, we'll look at Pillar 2, the one thing that protects your independence more than any dollar ever could: your physical health. You can have all the money in the world. You can have the nicest retirement plan, the best insurance, and even a house paid off. But if your body doesn't cooperate, if your health begins to decline, all those plans can unravel quickly. That's why the second pillar of lifelong support is your physical health. Not your doctor, not your caregivers, not your family. You, your body, your daily choices. Too often people believe that when their health starts to go downhill, someone will be there to catch them. They assume that a spouse will care for them, or a son, a daughter, a kind neighbor. But here's the hard truth after 60. Many of those people have their own lives, their own limitations. They may want to help, but they might not be able to. Just ask James. James is 68 now. In his younger years, he was a former coach, always on his feet, always in motion. But once he retired, things changed. He told himself, "I've worked hard, I deserve to relax," and relax he did. No more early walks, more takeout than vegetables, skipping doctor visits, ignoring the weight gain. "I'll get back to it," he kept saying, "maybe next year." But that next year came with a rude awakening. He was walking across the kitchen when he lost balance and fell hard. Nothing broken, thankfully, but it scared him. He found himself winded from climbing stairs, struggling to get up from a chair, needing help for things he used to do without thinking. His kids, they lived 2 states away. They called, checked in, but they couldn't be there every day. They had families of their own. That's when James realized, if I want to stay independent, I can't wait for someone to save me. I have to save myself. He started small, a 10-minute walk each morning, replacing soda with water. He booked his overdue doctor appointment. He even joined a beginner's yoga class at the community center, and slowly his body started to thank him. Here's what many people forget. After 60, your body is either your greatest ally or your biggest obstacle. And the difference lies not in doing extreme things, but in doing consistent things. You don't have to run marathons. You just have to move your body daily. You don't have to give up every indulgence. You just have to eat with more intention, more greens, fewer processed foods. And you don't have to obsess over numbers, but you do need to listen to your energy levels, your joint pain, your digestion, your sleep, because those are the signs your body uses to tell you something's off. Pay attention, and if you ignore those whispers too long, they eventually become screams. So ask yourself today, when was the last time I walked a full 30 minutes? When did I last have a checkup? Am I treating my body like it still matters, or like it's disposable? Because you're not done living. You still have years of joy, freedom, and purpose ahead of you, but only if your body is strong enough to carry you there. Your family loves you, yes, but they can't walk for you. They can't stretch for you. They can't lift for you. That's your job and your opportunity. And once your body is strong, there's still one more thing: you can't neglect your sense of connection. In the next part, we'll explore Pillar 3 and why the people you surround yourself with can make all the difference between feeling isolated or truly alive. You've got your finances in order. You're working on staying physically active and taking care of your health. But even with those things in place, there's still one silent threat that too many people overlook after 60: loneliness. You see, when you're younger, your social life often builds itself. You're surrounded by coworkers, neighbors, family gatherings, kids' soccer games, church events. You barely have time to be alone. But after 60, things begin to shift. Your children move out, friends retire or relocate, some loved ones pass on. Suddenly, without even realizing it, your world gets smaller. And here's the hard truth. Being alone too often doesn't just affect your mood, it affects your health. Studies have shown that social isolation increases the risk of cognitive decline, heart disease, depression, and even early mortality. It's not just about feeling lonely, it's about being disconnected from laughter, from conversations, from purpose. That's what happened to Eleanor. Eleanor is 73, a warm and thoughtful woman who spent most of her life raising two sons. She adored her family. They used to visit every weekend. But then came college, then came jobs, then came grandkids. And just like that, the visits became phone calls. The phone calls became texts, and sometimes the texts didn't come at all. Eleanor found herself sitting by the window many afternoons waiting for a knock that never came. It wasn't that her sons didn't love her. They did, but they were busy, overwhelmed, distracted. Life had moved forward and Eleanor felt like she'd been left behind. One morning, after forgetting what day it was again, she looked in the mirror and thought, this isn't who I want to be. I don't want to fade quietly into the background. So she took a bold step. She joined a book club at the library, started attending a senior fitness class, went to a local art museum meetup, and within weeks, something incredible happened. She started laughing again. Not because her problems disappeared, but because her loneliness did. You see, friendships in later life aren't just nice to have. They're essential. They give you a reason to get dressed, a reason to leave the house, a reason to smile, and a reason to remember who you are outside of mom or grandma or retired. Even casual connections, a kind neighbor, a familiar face at the coffee shop, someone from your church group can anchor you in ways you didn't know you needed. So ask yourself today, when was the last time I had a meaningful conversation outside of family? Do I have someone I can call just to talk or to laugh with or to sit beside in silence? Am I waiting on others to include me? Or am I ready to take the first step? Because no matter how old you are, it's never too late to make new friends, to rebuild connection, to feel seen, heard, and valued. You don't have to wait for the phone to ring. You can create your own circle. And the beauty of that is, you'll discover parts of yourself that may have been sleeping for far too long. Now that we've explored how connection can lift your spirit, let's turn inward and ask what gives your life direction. What makes you want to get out of bed in the morning? In the next part, we'll talk about Pillar 4, your sense of purpose and why it might be the most powerful fuel for a fulfilling life. What gets you out of bed in the morning? Not because you have to, but because you want to, because you feel needed, because something or someone is waiting for you to show up. That feeling, that drive, is what we call purpose. And after 60, it becomes one of the most powerful forces keeping you mentally sharp, emotionally grounded, and spiritually alive. But here's what many people don't realize. Purpose doesn't retire just because you do. It evolves, it shifts. It waits for you to rediscover it in new ways. Let me introduce you to Henry. Henry is 70 years old, a retired mechanical engineer who worked at the same company for over 35 years. He loves solving problems, mentoring younger workers, and being part of a team. But when he finally retired, he was excited to relax, to travel, sleep in, and just enjoy life. At first, it felt great. No more alarms, no more traffic, no more deadlines. But after a few months, something changed. The days started to blur together. He stopped shaving, stopped getting dressed before noon, even started forgetting what day it was. It wasn't depression, at least not in the clinical sense, but it was a kind of emptiness, like he had stepped off a moving train and the world just kept going without him. I didn't feel useful anymore, Henry admitted, like I'd handed in my identity the day I walked out of that office. Sound familiar? That's what happens when your sense of purpose gets tangled up in the roles you used to play: parent, worker, provider, caregiver. And when those roles fade, if you haven't built something new to replace them, you can feel invisible, forgotten, lost. But Henry didn't stay there. One day while visiting the local library, he noticed a flyer volunteers needed. Teach kids basic engineering projects. Something clicked, he signed up, and before long he was spending his afternoons helping a group of curious fifth graders learn how to build model bridges. He lit up when he talked about it. He had stories again, laughter again, meaning again. And the beautiful part, it didn't come with a paycheck, it came with purpose. Here's the truth. You don't need a job title to matter. You don't need a career to make a difference. You just need something that makes you feel alive and valuable. That could be anything. Teaching a skill you've mastered, volunteering at a shelter or a school, mentoring someone younger, growing a garden, writing a memoir, learning a new language, setting personal goals that stretch and inspire you. Because having a reason to wake up every day is what keeps your soul young. So ask yourself, what have I always wanted to do but never made time for? What makes me feel useful, needed, energized? Am I simply passing the time, or am I still creating value even in small ways? You see, purpose isn't always big or loud. Sometimes it's just showing up, being present, being kind, sparking curiosity, leaving a space better than you found it. And the amazing part, when you live with purpose, it spills over into every other part of your life, your health, your relationships, even your outlook on aging. Because no matter your age, you are still here, still needed, still capable. But as you follow your purpose, life will still test you. You'll face losses, setbacks, and tough moments. That's why in the next part we'll explore Pillar 5, your emotional resilience and how to build the inner strength that no one can take away. Life doesn't stop testing you just because you've turned 60. In fact, for many people, the emotional challenges of aging can be even more difficult than the physical ones. You lose friends, you lose your spouse, you move homes, you go through changes you didn't ask for and didn't want. And while support from family and friends is valuable, there's one kind of strength that only you can build for yourself: emotional resilience. It's the quiet power that allows you to keep going even when things hurt. It's the ability to process grief, adapt to change, and still find moments of peace, purpose, and even joy. Let me introduce you to Doris. Doris is 75. She was married for 47 years to her husband, Tom. They did everything together: vacations, grocery runs, gardening, even morning coffee on the porch. They weren't just married, they were partners in every sense of the word. So when Tom passed away after a sudden stroke, Doris's world collapsed. She was surrounded by sympathy in the first few weeks: calls, casseroles, messages from loved ones. But as time went on, the calls slowed, the world moved forward, and Doris was left to sit in the silence of her grief. At first, she leaned on her children. They came off and tried to cheer her up, but they had their own families, jobs, and responsibilities. Eventually, she realized they couldn't carry her pain for her, and they shouldn't have to. Doris had two choices. She could wait for the sadness to go away on its own, or she could begin healing on purpose. She chose the second. She joined a local grief support group, started journaling every night. She began practicing morning meditation, just 5 minutes of stillness, breathing, and gratitude. And slowly something shifted. The pain didn't disappear, but it softened. She stopped feeling like a victim of loss and started becoming the author of her own next chapter. That is emotional resilience. It doesn't mean you don't feel pain. It means you don't let the pain define you. Too many people after 60 rely solely on others to get them through hard times, believing that their kids, their siblings, or even old friends will always be there to help them cope. But here's what we know from both experience and research. True resilience doesn't come from others. It comes from within. That means learning how to sit with difficult emotions without pushing them away. Finding healthy outlets, whether it's prayer, poetry, painting, or simply talking to someone who understands, giving yourself grace on the days you feel down, and gently nudging yourself forward on the days you feel strong. So ask yourself, how do I process pain when it shows up? Do I allow myself to feel it, or do I bury it? What healthy coping tools do I turn to in hard moments? And if you're not sure where to start small. Write one page in a journal. Take a walk with no distractions. Say aloud one thing you're grateful for each morning. Join a group that allows you to speak freely about your emotions without fear of judgment. Because the stronger your emotional core is, the more prepared you'll be for whatever life throws at you. Not only that, resilience builds confidence. It teaches you, I can survive this. And more than that, I can grow from this. You are not just someone who's been through a lot. You are someone who's still standing, and that in itself is a kind of power that no one else can give you and no one else can take away. And while resilience helps you stay grounded emotionally, there's one final pillar that determines how well you continue to evolve your ability to adapt. In the next part, we'll explore how staying flexible mentally and emotionally can open new doors even after 70. If there's one truth that life guarantees, after 60, it's this: things will change. Your body will change. Your routines will change. Your relationships will evolve, and the world around you will continue to move fast. The people who age well, who stay fulfilled, connected and energized, aren't necessarily the ones with the most resources. They're the ones who know how to adapt. Because after 60, your ability to adapt becomes your survival skill and your superpower. Let me tell you about Leonard. Leonard is 78, a widower, former postal worker, and a creature of habit. Every morning at 7:30 he made coffee. At 9:00 he read the paper. Physical paper, not online. Lunch at noon, dinner at 5. He had a rhythm, a comfort zone, and he stayed in it, but slowly his world began to shift. His best friend George moved to Florida to be closer to family. His bowling group disbanded after the alley closed. And during the pandemic, his local community center shut its doors and never reopened. Suddenly, Leonard's routines weren't working anymore. His social world shrank. His days felt empty. He was stuck but didn't know how to get unstuck. At first, he resisted change. He grumbled about kids these days and how technology had ruined everything. But after one especially quiet week, he had a realization. If I keep doing what I've always done, I'll keep feeling how I've been feeling. So Leonard made a bold move. He signed up for a beginner's computer class at the library. He got help setting up video calls to chat with his niece in Arizona. He found an online group for veterans and joined their weekly chats. And one night after logging off a video call filled with laughter and news stories, Leonard leaned back and smiled. "I guess old dogs really can learn new tricks," he said. That's what adaptability looks like. It's not about being trendy or chasing every new gadget. It's about being open. Open to new ways of connecting. Open to fresh ideas. Open to the truth that life changes, and so must you. People who resist change in later life often feel left behind. They grow bitter. They shrink their world instead of expanding it. But those who stay flexible, they find unexpected joy. So ask yourself, when was the last time I tried something new? Am I clinging to what was, or open to what could be? Is fear holding me back from growing? Or am I letting curiosity lead? Adaptability doesn't mean giving up your values or forgetting the past. It means honoring your past while welcoming new possibilities. You might try learning to use a smartphone more confidently, exploring a new hobby you never had time for before, traveling to a new town even just for a weekend, saying yes to an invitation you might have declined in the past, or simply listening with an open mind to someone different than you. Because change doesn't stop after retirement. And when you fight change, you fight growth. But when you embrace it, you unlock a version of yourself that is wiser, bolder, and more alive than you ever imagined. Leonard didn't change who he was. He just expanded what he was willing to try. And that made all the difference. Now that you've seen all 6 pillars, it's time to connect the dots to understand how these foundations work together to build a life of freedom, stability, and meaning. In the final part, we'll bring it all home with a message you won't want to miss. So here we are. You've walked through 6 powerful pillars, each one a foundation that strengthens you from the inside out. Not just for emergencies, not just when family isn't around, but for every day of your life moving forward. Let's take a moment to remember them. Financial stability. Because true freedom begins when you're not waiting for someone else to bail you out. Physical health. Because without your body, your dreams have nowhere to live. Social circle. Because loneliness isn't just sad, it's dangerous. Sense of purpose. Because your story isn't over. Your value doesn't retire. Emotional resilience. Because life will still test you, and you need strength that no one else can supply. Adaptability. Because change is constant, and those who thrive are those who flow with it, not fight it. If you have even 2 or 3 of these pillars in place, you're already stronger than you realize. And the good news, you don't need to build them all at once. You can start anywhere with anything, even today. The most important thing to remember is this: you are not powerless, you are not too old, you are not stuck. Every day you wake up is a chance to reinforce the life you want to live on your terms. A life where you don't have to beg for help or fear being left behind. A life where you're not just surviving, but truly living with dignity, direction, and joy. Family is beautiful, cherish them, but don't wait on them to complete your life. Build your own foundation, strengthen your own ground, and let them love you, not out of obligation, but because they see you thriving. So now let me ask you, which pillar spoke to you most today? Was it the need to reconnect with people or the reminder to finally get that checkup? Maybe it was the idea that you still have purpose, even if your old roles have faded. Whatever it was, I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share which pillar hit home and what small step you might take this week to build it stronger. And if this video resonated with you, if it made you feel even a little more prepared, more hopeful, or more seen, please consider subscribing to this channel, liking the video, and sharing it with a friend or loved one who might need it too. Your support helps us keep creating content that empowers people like you, people who aren't done living, dreaming, or growing. Thank you for spending this time with me today, and wherever you are in your journey, remember, you're still writing your story, and there's so much more ahead. I'll see you in the next video.